So I'm going to talk through what I'm writing about and see if I can kind of work out the flow of it. You know, what I'm basically realizing in, roughly speaking, addressing nihilism, right? And I take nihilism simply to be, well, not so simply, but to summarize, I'm taking Heidegger at his word about that essentially the nihilism of the current age is not a proclaimed one, but a necessary one of the age of technicity. Right? That the nihilism essentially is synonymous with the loss of the hearing and understanding of being, or as Heidegger would say, the forgetfulness of being. And the thing that's uncanny, says Heidegger about this, is the uncanniness is that it doesn't occur as uncanny, right? Like, it's, and that's in a sense why it's not a proclaimed nihilism, but it's a necessary one that's given by our forgetfulness of being. And precisely, it's in that we don't see, being, the being of beings, and therefore don't relate to it. That is in essence what the notion of technicity and the hyper, you could say, utility and instrumentality we have for beings. So in other words, another way of saying that is we don't notice that we we basically relate to the moment and a thing and people and places as the contingent as a means for production for the next contingency. So in really looking at this, if we look at, like, well, okay, so then in essentially addressing nihilism on some level is about being able to hear being, to be able to, well, actually not technically not hear it, but be able to listen to the world and our experience in such a way that beings reveal the harmony or the glow of the wholeness of being, right? The sense, the restoration, the remembering of the sense of the non-contingency that sustains and is the source from which of sustenance for all beings. And we all know this, these moments in our lives, right, are, are those moments precisely where there's an implicit sense that the current situation and its shape and its structure glows with a sense of moreness, a sense of the inexhaustible. In that the particulars reveal a kind of suchness that glow with this beyondness, with this moreness, in the beauty of the particularity of the face of the person I'm talking to, and the gesture of our movements, and the way that the leaves hang together. And so the part in getting in touch with that out of this nihilism is the biggest challenge, right? Especially conceptually, to kind of, look at, well, how does one if one isn't as a whole aware, and they're unaware that they're not aware, that they don't experience a sense of wholeness. In other words, it's missing that's missing. What? How does one begin to hear it? Begin to listen to that which it's not hearing. Well, it seems like the first step is to be able to awaken to hearing that you don't listen, right? And this has to do with, I'm saying, essentially, primarily is about our relationship with the logos. And looking at Heraclitus, right, one of the fragments, right? And if we could say that Heraclitus, I think, following Heidegger and Hegel and a bunch of philosophers really kind of see Heraclitus as the first, well, maybe not